konkatsu means like activity trying to conceive. And on the following years, I wrote another book, and I thought that I should write another book about pregnancy. In 2012, there was an opportunity for me to write a Ninkatsu Bible. Ninkatsu, again, is the activity to try conceive. And I thought that this is going to be a very important theme for female, because for female, working is very important, and working needs to coexist with the activity trying to conceive, getting pregnancy. And I also wrote about a book. I wrote a book about women who wanted to become a full-time housewives. And I also am a member of the government committee which considers, which studies about the birth rate of Japan. And I also participate in this event which talks about the pregnancy, getting pregnant, or infertility rate. And he is the head of the government official committee. And I talk about the working and trying to conceive. And this event was recorded by Mari Nakamura from KMD. We paid only a very few fee, but she kindly offered her help and recorded this session. So we have some activities with university students, and my mission is to support women who wants to work and wants to have a child at the same time. So the question is, why is it such a hot topic to focus on the way of working? Normally, typical Japanese people are requested to work almost for 24 hours and always flexible for relocation of the office. And recently, there has been a big focus on the yukatsu activity. Yukatsu is like an after-hour activities, and that was encouraged even amongst the public officials. And KDDI is imposing their employees interval limitation. So after they leave the office, they cannot come back to the office for 11 hours. And Risona introduced the FTE system, which does not work overtime at all. Japanese FTE full-time employees are normally required to work overtime, but the Risona introduced the system which cut all the overtime. And IKEA Japan converted part-timers into full-time employees. Those are the recent news in relation to the way of working. And I understand you have more PowerPoints to go through. Shall we look at your PowerPoint slides? Because you have prepared. So I was a member of the government committee to discuss and study lowering birth rate. And recently, we included the word man in the outline. Cabinet office does not have budget normally, and a very male-dominant society. And public officials always thought that lowering birth rate is only a matter of female mindset. But now we included the word of man, meaning that men's attitude and mindset are also very important when we address the issue of lowering birth rate. And that thinking or that mindset is very much shared amongst the public officials. And maternity harassment, that word is also included in the public outline to discuss the lowering birth rate. And this is what I am thinking. We need a stable work which support women to balance out working and child raising. And in order to support that, we need men's support. And men and women need to work in the modern society. So let's say she has a part-time job and she gets pregnancy, she's fired. That is not good. Or she's FTE, she's expected to work 24 hours, so she can't really raise child. That is no good either. So we need a stable work for women, which encouraged women and men to have a good work-life balance. So it's not only about the female advancement into the working society. It's more about the flexible work style, such as telework. Or I think remote work may sound natural to all the participants today, but even if it's a remote work, workload is too big, that would not be good. For example, women work in shorter hours and raise a child at home, but she has to work until like 3 a.m. in the morning at home. That is no good. So we need some balance and support the continuity of a work amongst women. And also, there has been a traditional mindset which require women to become a good wife and a wise mother at the same time. The expectation is very high. According to Nisei Research Institute, Korea, Germany are also the countries who are having a lowering birth rate issue alongside with Japan, and those countries require women to be a good wife and a wise mother. And ideal husband for women is someone who earns 6 million yen per year or above, but that kind of population is only like 5.7% in Japan.
Now, so what I'd like to touch upon is you have to be able to choose your work cycles. Yeah, they have a very flexible work style and also appropriate remuneration income. While you are creative workers and professionals, it is possible to have such a flexible working environment. However, there are some ordinary workers who are not having very creative work and they do not spend so much long time. Let's say, well, in Japan, people often use from 9 o'clock to 5, but they much longer work environment. So a very appropriate remuneration salary is very appreciated. While foreign capital company CEO are having quite a lot of salary, but in Japan, ordinary workers do not earn so much. So lowering birth rate is something we are facing at this moment. So women have to work quite a lot. So many women are very active in some countries, and they are having very balanced working environment. In Fukui Prefecture, yeah, their birth rate is pretty good. And also for men, yeah, Japanese people cannot afford housemaid, or the husbands have to spend quite a lot of time working outside. So it is not the only reason why men cannot spend so much time supporting ladies. Let's say women spend quite a lot of time doing a lot of house chore. So when men are not helping their wives, there's a tendency that they are facing low birth rate. You know, child care is quite a lot of task. However, they need to have a very stable working environment, and they should be able to accumulate whatever income necessary for their life. Let's say there are excellent female workers after they graduate from universities and they start working. But when they spend some time, some years, they do not become so active in their environment because, you know, when they take a look at their mother and father, that is the environment she has been. And female workers in their 20s are not so active, and there are great role models, female role models. Well, women, they may not work for quite a long time, and once they give a birth to a child, they may not be able to continue. Well, they are not convinced enough that they have to keep on working. They will appreciate working continuously after childbirth and so on. So why do they have to work? Why do we have to work after having a child? Well, just staying married does not guarantee their stable life, and working continuously is the biggest risk hedge. However, to keep on working is very necessary, and for environment for their children as well. And pregnancy knowledge is not so profound yet. Well, in France, 50% of women are having children without any marriage. And the politicians say that, oh, it is bad to have ladies who are having illegitimate children. But in France, there are so many illegitimate children, around about 50%. Let's say when women are very young, it's okay to keep on working, but once they become elder, sometimes infertility is an issue they're facing. In NHK broadcasting program, 1 out of 27 women are now having treatment of infertility. Well, I am talking about so many numbers. Well, a long time ago, let's say, once women start working in companies, they will find their future husband, and it was just like a belt conveyor, continuous lifestyle, and mothers nowadays have quite a lot of part-time jobs and also taking care of children at home. So this is my proposal, this is my theme. It is necessary to have continuous work after marriage. But well, when do they have to give a birth? Well, 24 to 50 years, ovarian fertility, eggs getting aged. So it is simply a AMA result and age, and this is simply a result. Let's say Jaga Yokota is 42 years old, and at the age of 42, Yokota, she is having pretty good result of AMH. What is AMH? AMH, anti-Mullerian hormone. It is a hormone value, and eggs remaining in her body is what you can detect out of this blood testing. Well, you do not have to worry about AMH result. Value is low. You will be able to give a birth to a child. But older you get, smaller eggs you will have. This is what it says in this AMH test. And there might be some celebrities who are having late childbirth, but it does not apply to any all women. Men over 35 years, sperms number will become lower and lower. Well, women cannot give a birth after they reach so and so many years. Let's say 19 to 26 years old for women. Well, when having sex is very at appropriate timing, 50% of women will become pregnant. 35 to 39 years old, pregnancy rate will become lower. And when man is over 40 years old, and when she is 35 years old, pregnancy rate is getting lower and lower. It is due to aging as well. However, in our society, women having children, and it is very hard to have a happy life with the children and keep on working. So there are some worries and anxieties. Well, I will have less income if I do not keep on working. But when it comes to men 20s and 30s, yeah, their annual income has gone down by 1 million, by 2 million yen per year. So a couple will be keep on working, and it is necessary to have a society supporting these couples. So therefore, working hour countermeasures are applied in France. Well, low birth rate means that employment and the way people work are impacting that low birth rate. Well, in Japan, people marry and give birth to children. Well, let's say work reform and effective working environment and efficiency improvement is one thing. However, you need to take countermeasures by adjusting, supporting working environment so that we will be able to cope with such a low declining birth rate. Sorry, I keep on working all by myself. Well, in the morning, I was talking about the collective defense right, and it was very intriguing listening to you. So what's your theme? So this discussion is very important. On the other hand, however, well, you cannot give a conclusion or answer to this issue because to give a birth is one thing you have to discuss, and young people do not marry nowadays. There might be some excuse. Well, they have worry, anxiety by having low income, and women would like to have men having income of over 6 million yen. It is a high expectation. Economic environment should be involved, improved, and in the future, even though they have a higher income, you cannot guarantee a future. So improvement of economy will be one answer. However, when it comes to child caring, our environmental facilities are not sufficiently abundant yet at this moment. So if people keep on staying single, you cannot give an answer to this issue. Well, it is difficult. Government cannot say you have to get married and have children. You need to create an environment where women will be able to raise children happily. Yes, in the future, social divide in Japan will become much worse in the future. Past 10 years, deflation in the past 15 years, Japanese average income is 5 million yen minus. At this moment, according to tax agency, 4.13 million yen is the national average income in Japan. Well, 4.13 million yen per 1 year. However, this is just an average. Out of that, 40% or more is earning less than 4 million yen annual income. Yes, that's right. And also, 10 million yen over national income is less than 2%, very, very small. And this divide will become much bigger, just like they're facing in the United States. Some creative workers are having pretty sizable income, but for many, majority people, just like you have said, well, men and women, as a couple, have to keep on working. You have to take it for granted, and their father may not be earning so much. So therefore, husband and wife should be able to earn sizable income by working together separately. Yeah, in European countries, this is what they are facing at this moment.
That's happening in Europe, and that's, I believe, the only way for us to go. But then we need young people's willingness to get married and have child. If the younger generation doesn't want to get married and doesn't want to have a child at all, policy cannot do anything. But we can set up or organize the environment. France, you may think that France is different from Japan, but the French policy is very good in one point. Even if you lose men, or even if you lose work, you can still raise a child. That's why women are having children. Within the Japanese social security, that part is very weak. 100 trillion yen equivalent budget is allocated on social security, and 80% of such is assigned to take care of the elderly, like elderly nursing, elderly medical care. When it comes to child care and support women to raise their children, only 20% of the total social security budget is assigned. So unfortunately, that is the major difference. France is spent almost like 3 times more of the budget on child care and child-related policies. So the question is, can we make a quick change in Japanese environment? The conclusion is no. Because most of the voters are elderly, and the elderly would of course prioritize on their interest, and the younger generation do care about their family, but they don't really care about the others. So looking at the political reality, I think it's quite difficult to make a political decision. I think companies need to change. This is based on the questionnaire we conducted amongst the female students, and there are some female students in Waseda and the other like middle-level universities who wants to work hard, but those people wants to get married and wants to have child at earlier age. Those competent women, if you want to recruit those competent women from the universities, companies need to change themselves in a way of operating a business, or working style needs to be changed as well.
これですね、こういうことが始まってきているのは、残業代を抑制したいという企業の気持
So
ちもあります
many companies want to reduce the overtime work because they want to pay extra, but otherwise they can't retain or recruit good talent. If you want to recruit good talent, you have to get rid of the 24 hours working style. Non-Japanese people would say that I don't want to be working for the Japanese companies because I can't see my career in 3 years. So I think it makes sense that the companies will make some changes, and this company is encouraging employees to work actively outside of working hours, or full-time employees tends to work extra hours overtime. So this company, restrict employees not to come back to the office after certain hours. And the service business, they will have a shortage of talent, so they need to convert part-timers into full to FTE. So unless a move made by companies, it's quite difficult to see a change. I have a concern because Japanese employment system is based on the fact that they recruit many new graduates and expect them to stay with a company for a long time. And job hunting is about choosing a job. It's not about choosing a company. And lifetime employment translated into service or free overtime work. So lifetime employment, recruiting majority of the employees from new grads, this system itself needs to be changed. IKEA has a very good example. IKEA is encouraging equal work, equal pay. There is no job description of full-time employees, so it's quite difficult to encourage equal work. So I have some concern as to what extent we can see that kind of movement. Companies like Daiwa Securities, Itochu, they are controlling working hours. And as I look at what they do, I thought it's kind of up to the management decision. I interviewed the chairman, Mr. Suzuki. He made a chairman in 2004 in Daiwa Securities, and he promoted women's work, and he encouraged employees to leave the office at 7 p.m., which is extremely rare. And I asked the reason why, and he said that when I was younger, I have had a big disagreement with the traditional way of working. The security companies or salespeople of security companies come to the office early in the morning, go outside and make sales visit, come back to the office at late night, eat evening, and still stay in the office. And the chairman, Mr. Suzuki, said that that was not right at all. So he wanted to make a change. So he changed the system, and he eventually found out that it really encouraged the female workers. And he also said that that was an idea that came up to my mind, and he said that was an intuitive call or intuitive decision. And I thought that that defines the good, capable management. And the timing is very important. If you take an action now, you will see some deliverables in 5 years. So those good management is well aware of the essence of this problem. This problem is not only about way of working. It is leading to that discussion is leading to how we can improve the work productivity. You may think that all the Japanese workers are very diligent, but actually, economy as a whole, productivity is almost a half of U.S. Per capita productivity is only 2/3 of Germany and the Netherlands. So productivity is low in Japan, but they're compensating the point with longer working hours. So if we look at the economy as a whole of Japan, if we want to sustain the economic growth, we really need to improve the productivity. That's the theory of economy. So increase of wage is based on the fact that the economy is picking up. And in order to continue, I mean, monetary policy can trigger the short-term economic growth, but if we want to sustain the economic growth into the future, we need to improve the productivity, and good, wise management is aware of that. And Risona is a good example. Even if, even if you ask people to leave the office at like 5 p.m. sharp, you can still get your work done. And the same applies to the government offices in Kasumigaseki. I would say 70% of the work is sundry work. He is my student, and he's working for a company which is a very famous Japanese company. And what Risona does can be applied to the other companies. So Daiwa Security vice presidents and employees thought that we can never implement this new way of working, but the top management committed himself very deeply and seriously, and this new way of working eventually worked out. Let's say client wants you to report at 8 p.m. In that case, what shall we do? Because we are expected to leave the office at 7 p.m. And then the company, Daiwa Security, said that in that case, you need to make a proposal, alternative proposal. And we do have a right to choose client. So you may drop the client, but that's okay. But normally, capable a salesperson can convince the client to buy in the alternative proposal. But unfortunately, Japan is always like trying to look back the past good histories and still working in a way that productivity cannot really go up, and working women do not really feel a sense of achievement, and a good female are dropping out of the labor market.
So what is the problem then? Let's say working hours and controlling productivity is one thing, and also techno work is one thing. You know, participants here, telework. You do not have to go to the office to keep on working. Well, telework, Japanese companies do not provide a telework environment. Well, it is available, but they are not doing telework. Why? Well, they'd like to see colleagues with each other. Well, unfortunately, however, there are some restraints when it comes to medical welfare and also education. You can take some countermeasures, but people think that it is the very best way to meet each other. You cannot trust people unless you see with each other. Well, 5 years, 10 years from now, telework environment will be different in Japan. I expect so. Yeah, you can expect some. Well, the government is supporting to provide such environment, and there's no restriction from the government side. Keidan, Japan Economic Federation is a kind of awkward organization. They may sometimes come up with restriction, but I do not think they are going to restrict such telework. Therefore, productivity will be improved. Well, at least, working, employment, and full-time workers, nursing care, well, once a week or 2 times a week, they may have remote work, but you can reduce the number of commuting hours by train and so on. Well, maybe good thing is that we will be having a smaller and smaller population. Therefore, such environment might be environment upcoming 10 years from now. Yeah, commuting hours will be reduced. I think to have less population in Japan is better. Well, this is one thing you can say. Well, low birth rate discussion, I do not appreciate it. Well, high birth rate, and it's important to have 100 million population. That's what people talk about. Even they treat it just like an assumption or in a way, prerequisite. Who decided to do so? In Meiji Restoration, 33 million was Japanese population over 100 years ago. There was a big increase. Why is it important to have 100 million and over in population? Well, nobody is giving an answer to that discussion. 100 million population in Japan. To keep and maintain this population, how many children will be necessary? 3 children per one lady. Yeah, this is what you have to achieve. 2.5 childbirth per one. It is difficult. Well, women have to feel so willing, motivated to give birth to children. You need to have an appropriate environment. However, countermeasure to cope with this low birth rate, well, any women, when they're motivated, willing to give a birth to children, they should be able to do so. Desire, hope, aspiration. Inspiration should be fulfilled in any environment. Well, there might be one theme or issue. Well, young people are spoiled in a way. Young ladies are spoiled in a way. Well, they'd like to marry and income of over 6 million. And anxiety, worry, concern in the future. Therefore, we are not giving birth to children. I think they are spoiled. Well, there was a Japanese office person, and there was an interview with Inagawa-san, celebrity singer's office. And no matter how many years I work on, some young people are not good. Well, the counterpart person said that it's great. Young people are great. You know, I get involved with lots of young female university students and so on, and male students as well. You know, they are living their lives and looking at the future. You know, their future should be able to give an environment where they're very motivated to live very happily. Let's say, give a birth to children. There might be some excuse. People say, oh, I do not want to marry, I do not want to have children. Sometimes they give up to have children or to live such a life. But instead of giving an order from the upper side or from the government, you have to make sure I'm not the one living my life all by myself. You know, young people are going to live their life in the future continuously. You have to listen to them. It's important to listen to young people, but sense of value by men in my 50s should not be forced upon them. But the young people do not go voting in election. That's right. Well, social security or social structure, if they'd like to change it, they will be going voting in election. Well, men have lots of complaints. However, they do not do anything. So let's say management people say in Korea, let's say management people say this, yeah, financial crisis hit Korea, and at that time, that was quite a long time ago. In Korea, Korean people were working in a bank, and Korean ladies are so beautiful. That was what I have seen. Why? Yeah, North Korean ladies are more beautiful. Anyway, Korean Peninsula ladies are not so beautiful or cute. Well, anyway, there was a very beautiful banker lady, and there was a financial crisis, and the men got kicked out from their profession, and female workers thought that we have to keep on working. Well, Japan has still a space where they can feel relaxed. You know, Japan, small country with lots of population, so things do not happen so immediately, quickly. Well, inflation is what we're facing, and prices are not high enough yet at this moment, so people keep on live their lives. It's might be a slow, mild worsening situation influencing Japan. Well, men in the 20s in Japan are not so great. Well, my students, you know, I see so many students. They do not get married and they do not do whatever necessary. Well, there are so many people in their 20s. Please raise your hand, men in 20s. Or male. What about male who are having partners? Do you think you plan to get married with her? Well, that's great. I think I'm spoiled in a way. Yeah, you have to do something. You have to correct it. Yes,
さっきのグラ
yes.
フ見たみんな
Have you seen the graph I have shown to you? Men in the 20s, they are thinking only about employment and jobs, profession. But, you know, you are having girlfriend and there is a clock in her
刻んでるわけですよ
world and the clock is ticking, tick, 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 tick. You have to think about her, your girlfriend. Your body clock is ticking as well in men. Well, let's say boys are thinking about women. I was living in the United States, and in my experience, well, women give birth even in their 40s. You do not get married and give a birth in a hurry? No, you do not have to. There is a discussion. But anyway, men and women,
作る能力が劣化してくる
yeah,
本当に
there is a degradation. Older you get, yeah, let's say sperm, eggs might be frozen together, but
育む方がやっぱりダメになってくるし相手の精子の劣化
egg holders, sperm holders are getting old and getting degraded. Infertility treatment might be an answer. Let's say from the government point of view, you do not have to give a birth in the 20s. Let's say eggs, yeah,
始めましたで
healthy female eggs. Treatment is now available, and you have to pay only 30% versus entire treatment. Yeah, initial treatment will cost some, but infertility treatment is now ongoing effort. But not so many people are using such a treatment because in Japan you cannot buy, unlike the United States, you cannot buy sperms. Well, once you reach certain age, well, I have to give a birth. Well, young sperms are available, but what should we do?
日本はね選択肢
Yeah,
がすごい
in Japan, there are not so many choices female can resort to. Yeah, infertility treatment is getting lots of advancement, progress. However, treatment of infertility is not a silver bullet at all. Success rate is 20% or 30%, even if you are young, or 20%, 30%. But 20% success, it means that 600,000 yen per one treatment. Even the most expensive one, yeah, 3 million yen altogether after several infertility treatment and spurs purchase. Well, you have to think about chemistry of a man providing sperm, but it is not a silver bullet. It does not give perfect answer to your issue. Therefore, infertility treatment is fully available in some countries, but in Australia, population decline is what they're facing, and they are taking a drastic measure from the government. They are investing. It's okay to have less population. Well, it's okay to have less population. However, I want to give a birth and I want to raise children. If women feel that way, you have to provide an appropriate environment.
もなくなるから
At one point, you will get to the point where you don't even want to get married and want to have a child. I guess we need to set up the environment which support men and women. Last week, I went to Italy. I fed up with my work and I went to Rome and went to the rock band concert, and I came through Munich, and I went to Munich airport and I met a Japanese woman living in Germany for more than 10 years, and she said that Germany is a good country to live because the social security system is solid, and whenever I go to the hospital, I don't really need to pay. On top of that, the Germans are not working as hard as Japanese, meaning that they have better work-life balance. They're enjoying their personal life. And so the work-life balance is good, social security is good, no medical expenditure she needs to pay. So the salary level is not high, but because of the strong social security, she says I don't need to earn that much. But Japan is not providing good social security, so Japan is not as a good place to live. And I was talking to her, and I thought that I envy her. So looking at the current social security and the other systems here in Japan, we need to reinvent those systems to support each individuals to live better. And many people, I don't think, do have a good understanding of the reality. Reality, I mean that a social divide is widening. From a female point of view, when they want to hand husband, they always seek for someone who earns 6 million, but that's extremely difficult. On top of that, the level of the social security will come down in the future. So you have to assume that you have to keep working until 70 years old. Now, once you become 65 years old, you can get the annuity payment, but this age needs to be raised up to 70 years at some point. So both married couple needs to work, and they need to protect their life. That's the mindset going forward, I guess. And the companies cannot provide support, full support. And I believe lifetime employment will break down in the future somehow. So we have to reinvent the way of working anyways. And men and women needs to make sure that they will have some way of earning a living. 9 to 5 work style may sound ideal, but there are not many options. I have a friend who's working for Lufthansa, and she can choose how she wants to work. And when you make a choice, you will feel very much rewarded, fulfilled. So if you choose reduced working hours, you will feel that your work-life balance becomes better. So you make choice by yourself, and the sense of fulfillment becomes better. I personally believe that is possible even now here in Japan. The students from good universities stick to the major companies. This year's popularity ranking of a companies amongst the job hunters or new grads is almost the same as what we have seen in late 1980s when we have a bubble economy. And 70% actually of the total workforce work for middle-sized companies. And the middle-sized companies are very much open to mid-careers as well, and they offer more of the flexible working style. So I don't think we should stick to major or company size. And I think medium-sized companies I know are having difficult time in recruiting new grads, and I believe that's okay. They just don't need to walk away from the new grads recruitment, and they should hire more of the mid-career. And then they should increase the number of workers who work for like 4 hours or only 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they should look at the women who had to quit their job because they have a child. Those women are very capable. So I guess we need to activate the mid-career recruitment market. So if medium-sized companies are having difficult time in recruiting new grads, they should go for mid-career. Right. That way, mid-sized companies will be able to have access to better talent, and they can negotiate on the working condition. So the job hunter should also negotiate on the working conditions. Maybe she can say that I would like to work only 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I don't do the extra work, but this is what I achieved in the past. So when I teach female students in the third year and the fourth year are sometimes in the same class, and they're so different because once you become a fourth year, you start job hunting, and they become all of a sudden so matured. In a way, they take the reality. But still, the fourth year students are not serious enough. I don't like young generation because they they are not hard worker. They are not studying hard enough. Okay. I hear many criticism for young people. So I would like to ask the audience, a young generation, to ask questions to these two speakers, if there are any. Yes, I do have a question. Our company has a good supporting environment for female. Our company means Sony, right? Oh, is that okay for you to make that comment? Because this is broadcasted on Ustream. Yeah, that's okay. So we have a good environment for women. Some female workers would work from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and there are not a few. And female workers who have small children work only like between 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. But once you get to 40s or so, female worker population will become very small. So when you have a child, initially you have a good willingness to continue working. But then once women get to the age of 40 years old or so, they start leaving workplace. And female students are also very much willing and have a great motivation to continue working even after they have a child. But as they age, as they get to like 40s and over, they seem to kind of give up on the idea of continuing work. If she's having a second child, a third child, without the husband's support, she cannot have a good balance between work and child raising. So you definitely need a husband support. In that case of Sony, many people find a husband or wives in the same company, and then many people are very hard worker, and you can't really excuse yourself leaving the office at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. on sharp because you have 2 or 3 children. Sometimes you have to stay up until like 7 p.m. And then you try to increase the productivity first and try to shorten the working hours, but still get the things done. And engineers tend to work quite long, but their way of working should also be supported. So my point is we need to reinvent the working style of men as well. Or like working mother sometimes study MBA. Professor from KBS are providing MBA courses for working mothers. So the students come to the classes with 1-year-old child or 2-year-old child, but they're so passionate, they are so hard learners. But I'm sure they have difficulties. And I asked them how their husbands are supporting their child raising, and they say that my husband come back 3 a.m. in the morning, so I can't really expect my husband to support me. So that's the reality.
However, once 2 colleagues get married, you cannot avoid such a situation. But when you're in same university, education level is the same. It's difficult to find a babysitter. Japanese ladies' income is, well, if babysitter is 1,500 yen per hour, permanent employee, full-time employee cannot get per hour 1,500 yen. If your salary is high, they are taking advantage of babysitters, but still your income level might be sufficient to have lots of hours of babysitter. When a child is very small, all income will be eaten up by babysitter payment. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? I'd like to ask a question. Pretty soon I'm going to be 20 years old. I'm a student. Well, Shirakawa-san, well, it's a pity to have many young people. I'd like to go abroad. if I do so, maybe I can have a very poor life. Then Japanese young people, I think young people should go abroad and have a very poor life so that they will have a better life after they come back. You do not have to go abroad. Well, young people, I'd like them to do is as follows. Well, there are a few things I want them to do. First, read quite a lot of books. People in the KMD students, well, Wikipedia, internet is what they click and they get knowledge sporadically, but systematically you have to acquire knowledge. So systematic knowledge acquisition means that you can read some specialty books as well, and the ideas and the principle of writers can be well understood. Well, 2 books per week is what you have to read. Please do not rely on internet information. This is one thing I want young people realize. And second thing I want them to do is, you do not have to go abroad, but you have to go partner hunting. It means you can improve communication capability. You will have lots of failure rate by trying to get girlfriends and boyfriends and so on. Instead of relying quite a lot on internet, you have to be able to do something by yourself. Well, instead of going abroad, you can find very nice girlfriend, boyfriends to be, and lots of failures will let you grow even further. Even 1 year or 1 year and a half, you can go abroad and study, and sense of value will be broadened quite a lot. So you will understand how small a sense of value you have by yourself, and the social structure in Japan is so distorted. You should be able to recognize that. What I want you to do is, before going abroad, please read, well, minimum 1 book per week is what I want you to do. Please continue it. You will change your life. Okay, any comment? Yes, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, I'd like you to read many books, especially I'm a writer, so I'd like to sell many books. Even you can read my books in Kindle. And ladies, it's great to go abroad. Once you stay in Japan, without knowing it, Japanese absurd, wise mother, good wife, feeling will overwhelm you. So it's nice for women to go abroad, and men. I know lots of boys who went abroad and they got so popular. You know, non-Japanese women have quite a clear sense of expressing their feelings. And yeah, if you go abroad, boys go abroad, and you will be beaten up by foreign ladies, whether you will be appreciated or not. And the Japanese men have some kind of a sensitive language capability, trying not to jeopardize or break women's feelings. But my foreign friends often say that, well, my foreign friends would like to get a suicide because my girlfriend said something very, very bad, harsh to me. Well, I feel the same way. I made an apology at least 10 times a day. KMD, there are some overseas study program, and one of them is design, London and in New York, and one semester, you have a chance to spend your semester. 18 people were sent to these countries, and English proficiency is the most important. I was worried, but after sending 18, boys got girlfriends, and their English proficiency level has become so much better. That was a track record. Yeah, going abroad studies is important. You will be very fully fledged in a way. Thank you very much. Today, YouTube Live is ongoing at this moment. Well, so please give them a very big applause. Thank you.